Hi everyone, welcome back to the next diecast. In today's video, I'll be showing you and reviewing this 1/18 scale 1970 Datsun 240Z made by Yatming Road Signatures. This is actually another one of my dad's models that he has. A lot of you probably saw my review of the Maisto 1/18 scale Datsun 240Z I did a little while back. I will be doing a future video where I compare both the Yatming version and the Maisto version in terms of their overall details and everything. I don't believe Yatming is producing this particular model anymore. It does come up on eBay, but prices are usually a little bit more than other typical like Yatmings. They usually seem to go between like $40 and $80 depending on like what color you get it in and everything. I know there's some kind of like rare like racing livery version that tends to command a little bit more in terms of price and everything, but cheaper ones do come up. If you want to get one for cheap, you'd probably end up getting one that was probably loose and out of the box and everything. You'd probably get like a small price discount in that sense. But overall, in terms of details and everything, I think this is a well-done model. I think it's one of Yatming's better models. So this is a 1970 model. The Maisto version is a 1971, but there really is no differences, I don't think, between those two particular years. The overall shape of the model, I would say, is a very well done. And if we take a look at the front here, decent looking headlights here. They do have kind of the peg in the center, but on the real car, that's where the light bulb would be. So that's not a big deal in that sense. You have a nice kind of raised up Datsun badge on the hood here. Not a separate piece, but it's kind of a nice like three-dimensional raised up painted look to it. You can clearly read the Datsun inscription going across that. You do have this lower grille down here too. It's not really perforated, but at least it is kind of a well-done, plastic piece. And you have this lower bumper down here, too, which is actually nice and flush with the whole body. You almost don't see it because it's kind of a very, thin and small piece, but it is actually a separate plastic chrome piece, and I think they did a great job with that. And you have a Datsun 240Z plate down there, too. On the side, you have nice-looking wheels, kind of the same wheels that the Maisto version has. It's sort of like gunmetal-colored 5 spokes with the red badge in the center, and the kind of chrome surround on there too. I think Yatming did a great job with these. They're almost like an upper end model on quality with like the chrome and everything. They just look very well done. And of course you have the Datsun inscription going on down here too. That's done nicely in kind of a silver paint. The turn signals are just painted on, but at least they make some effort making them look kind of like three-dimensional pieces. You can see kind of the shadow going on around there. And then the back here, of course, it is done in red. The paint quality, I would say, is good for the most part. You do have some slight orange peel back here, but I'm sure that's just a factory defect. The white looks, I think, particularly good with the Datsun 240Z. I know they also made kind of a dark green version with sort of a reddish brown interior, and they also made a black version, maybe a couple of other colors too. And there was a racing version too. Back here, you do have the 240Z. I guess, inscription / badge. You have kind of the black circle and the 240Z going across that. That's also present on the other side here too. So I think they also did a great job with that. Nice looking wipers and a mirror on here. I'm not sure if the real wipers were supposed to be chrome or not, but at least on here they are separate pieces, and the mirror is nice and sturdy too. You also have separate pieces for the door handle, or door handles I should say. Back here, nice looking taillights, no pegs to be seen, and a nice texture going on with the lenses too. And you do have that Datsun 240Z inscription back here as well. Kind of a nice chrome surround on this rear window too, I might say. And you have 2 vents going on down there too. There is an exhaust pipe back here. A little bit small, a little bit cheap looking. I wish they maybe painted the inside a bit, like maybe black, so it looks kind of like a three-dimensional hollowed out piece, but you can't ask for that much in that sense, I suppose. You do actually have full steering on the model. No suspension though, but I don't think Yatming usually does suspension. The steering is actually good though. A lot of their models I don't think have great steering, but on this one, they do turn all the way in both directions. That's actually nice to see that. With opening features, surprisingly, you do actually get an opening rear trunk back here. Most of the Yatming models don't typically have the opening rear trunks. I should say hatch, because this is kind of like a hatchback coupe. But yeah, it opens up like so. Not really too much to see back here aside from some dust. I should clean this up a little bit better. But kind of a nice textured, trunk back here. Looks like you got 2 kind of molded in belts that I guess on the real trunk it would have those, and you can kind of like tie down like luggage back here maybe or something like that. No back seats, but you do have kind of a full-size trunk in here. Sort of a smooth texture. I would imagine on the real car it wouldn't be so smooth, but aside from that, not really too much to point out in that sense. The hatch, I think, should open up a slight bit more, but I think what they have here is just fine. So we'll close that up. And of course, you have the opening hood too. It opens up like so. I had to turn the model upside down a little bit. That's actually a good thing. It means that the hood's nice and tight. The hood doesn't open extremely wide. I think on the Meister version, it opens up a little bit wider, so it's kind of easier to see in there. But the engine detailing, I would say, is actually quite well done. You have multiple three-dimensional pieces in there. I kind of like the different colors they use. You got the red over here. The main block has kind of like a silver and blue look to it. And you actually can see all the way down to the bottom of the car, which is very cool to see. You have the radiator in there, a few kind of, hoses and wires here and there. I guess maybe a slight bit more detail would have been welcome, but I think what they have in here looks very well done. I'd imagine there'd be some kind of inscription maybe on here like Datsun or something like that, but I guess it doesn't have that. I'll definitely be comparing this engine to the Meister engine to kind of see who did it better. And again, the Meister was in 1971, this is in 1970, so I imagine there were maybe some minor changes in between the 2 years, but for the most part, they're the same car. Underneath the hood, or the underside of the hood, I should say, it is mostly fully painted. There is a slight bit of underspray down there, but I don't even know if the real, underside of the hood would have anything on it in that sense anyway, so I don't think that's a big deal. Yeah, you can kind of see the underspray here. I wish they fully painted this section there. It kind of looks odd. Just, you can see well, this is overspray from the body, but it's underspray under here if they were trying to paint it, but that's not really a big deal. You're going to probably, if you do display your models with the hoods open, you'll probably have it like this. Actually, it looks kind of cool with the way that the hood is on this angle. And when you do have the hood open, you do kind of get a better look at the Datsun badge too, which is a cool touch. Close that up. You don't have any prop rod or anything in here. I wish you did. That would have been a nice welcome additional touch there. Doors open up like so on very tight kind of dogleg hinges. Now, an interesting thing is that on the Meister, you have like the door frames, like where the window would be. There's like a frame around it, and it opens up with the door. On here, just the doors open like this, and there is no window frame attached to the door. So I'm not sure. Maybe they made that change in 1971, or maybe one of these manufacturers got it right and one of them didn't get it right. That's something I'll be definitely kind of looking into prior to filming the review or the comparison review of both models. So just something kind of interesting to a note there, I guess. Decent detailing on the door panels. Kind of a nice texture going on there. Part of the dust up top. And you have the separate kind of chrome piece for the window winder too. And kind of a pocket down here. Same goes for this side too. You have a nice kind of texture going in the center there. And you have the window winder here. Might be a bit too small, the window winder, but I don't think that's really a big deal. And you actually get a nice kind of separately cast chrome piece going along the top of each door. So I think that's a nice welcome touch there too. And as I said, these do open up on kind of these thick dogleg hinges, but I don't really think that's a big deal. I know some people aren't a fan of dogleg hinges, but I think for Yatming models, they're very, tight for the most part. So you're not going to have any issues with those in that sense. In terms of interior detailing, very nice seats. They have a very nice shape to them, and the texture is almost like leather if you run your finger across them. Like, this whole model in general kind of has very, welly-like attributes to it. Like the very nice exterior detailing and the kind of spotty paint work, I guess. And even the interior, too. A lot of, good detailing is present here. But these are, again, a nice overall shape and look to them. Kind of an interesting leather pattern on them too, or texture, I should say. You have kind of these 4 circles in the center. I'm not really sure what those are. I guess they'd be kind of buttons on the real car. Although because of the texture, it is kind of hard to get dust off because it's kind of like a rubbery texture, so dust kind of gets on there and sticks to it. So you have to kind of really, use a brush maybe to kind of scrub out these individual kind of grooves in there if you don't want to have any dust in here. But not a big deal. I think it's worth having the kind of nice texture. And even when you look at it from a distance, like the light kind of reflects off the seats, and it creates kind of a nice look to them. Nice detailing on the dashboard here. You have a nice texture going across the whole thing. The center stack, there are buttons there that are present. They're just not really colored in for the most part. Not really a big deal per se, but I guess having them colored in would have been a nice additional detail there. And up here you do have these gauges. I believe you have the speedometer and everything behind the steering wheel there. And then here it's like the tachometer and clock and stuff. I'd have to take a closer look to actually see what they are. And similar to the Maisto Datsun, you do have this kind of nice wood grain-like steering wheel. I don't even know if it's actually supposed to be wood grain on the real car or not. It just kind of looks orange on both models. That's the other thing I kind of want to, look into and see if it's proper or not. And that steering wheel pattern kind of continues on the shift knob where the shifter is. Look at that giant shift boot on there. That's just really cool to see. And you have the parking brake too, which is a separately cast plastic piece. Looks like it's actually engaged, so in theory you wouldn't be able to roll this car. Or move it, I should say. Not really anything going on like the floors here. It's kind of the same texture as the dashboard and like the rest of the car. I would have kind of liked to see maybe a little bit more kind of rough texture and to kind of make it look like it was carpet or something, but I don't think that's a big deal per se. On this side, you do have the separately cast pedals. They're just kind of hard to see. I don't know if on the real car they'd actually be brushed aluminum or not. Here's kind of a better look at the steering wheel too. Has a nice kind of, 3-spoke look to it. I'd imagine there will be some kind of badge in the center if this were the real car, but on here it's just kind of a black piece. But you can always maybe add that, yourself if you wanted to. And yeah, it's just kind of hard to see these pedals down here. That's the best look you're gonna get. You do have a kind of a nice texture down here. That might be like a floor mat, that kind of grooved thing on the floor there, but I think that's a cool touch too. Overall, they did, I think, a good job with this interior as a whole. I guess a little bit more detailing would have been welcome with those buttons in there, but I don't think that's really a huge turnoff for the model, per se. Looking underneath, we can look at the undercarriage next. Not really too much to see down here. You have kind of this silver exhaust system, which is actually a separately cast piece going all the way down to the engine block here. But aside from that, not really too much to see in that sense. I mean, at least this is not done in chrome. It's actually painted silver, so it does look a lot better in that sense. You see a lot of these other like budget models like Maisto and Motormax and all them. They'll usually do like, chrome exhaust systems. And Maisto has recently been getting better at not including those, so that's good to see that. And you can see all your engine detailing down here too. And even the steering system working too. You can even see there's that little nub that kind of connects to the steering wheel slash steering column. So I think that's a cool touch. And here's an interesting thing I forgot to mention. You have these lower turn signals down here that are actually separately cast plastic pieces. They're really pretty much impossible to see. Like if you have the car just on the shelf like that, you don't really see those. But if you look at it like this, you can actually see them. So I found it kind of funny that for the indicator lights that you actually can see, they would paint those on, and even back here too, but underneath, the lights that you can barely see at all unless you look at it like this, they make them as kind of nicely detailed separate plastic pieces. So odd sort of decision making there, but I mean, I guess that's not too big of a deal per se. But overall, this is a good model, I would say, especially if you're a fan of the Datsun 240Z. If you want this specific color scheme, then you would have to go with this one, because Maisto does not make this in white, unfortunately, but I think it looks really cool in this kind of white with like the black interior and that kind of brownish steering wheel border and stuff like that. But if you can find this model for a decent price, I would say definitely get it. It would look good with other, classic cars from like the 70s or, classic Japanese cars and what have you. As always, hope this video was kind of a helpful overview and look of this model, and feel free to comment down below with your thoughts on it in the comments section. And as always, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.